Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening and welcome everyone to the June 3rd already meeting of the Ashland City Council. We're glad you could join us. To our viewers at home, members of our audience, members of council, Mayor Miller, Attorney Bush, and Director Paxton, welcome everyone. I understand we even may have some viewers from as far away as Pennsylvania, and we thank them for joining us as well. So with that, the mayor has requested a brief executive session for the dispensation of real estate. It'll be very brief. We'll do that directly after we approve the minutes. So with that, if there is no change to the minutes, we'll approve as submitted. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, minutes will stand approved, and we need a motion to move to executive session.
Move to executive session. Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye.
All right, we will be right back. This will be brief and no action will be taken. We're back. Before we left, I made the comment that no action would be taken. This is actually pertaining to item E, which was added late to our agenda. So action will be taken on this matter, but it is a ordinance that was added late, and I just wanted to make that clear for everyone listening. So to begin, through our agenda.
Move to come out of
Oh, I'm
executive
sorry.
session.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Lawson, Mrs. Woodward, thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye.
All right, we are out of executive session, back in regular session, and we have ordinance A, which is an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Finance to make the following transfers within 2025 appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full. Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Good evening.
Evening, Larry.
The ordinance before you allows the transfer of $50,000 from the construction line to the service contract line within the stormwater fund. The stormwater fund has a engineering contract, I believe, that has to be funded. In an effort to do that, you appropriated this money at the beginning of the year. It's just moving it from one line to another.
Questions for Mr. Paxton? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Ordinance 48-25.
Next, we have an ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to amend appropriations for the calendar year 2025 and declare an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full. Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
This is a little different in the fact that we're creating additional appropriations. There is a capital improvement fund that for the, sure. I have so many of them I've forgotten. I believe it's a construction capital improvement fund for one of the ODOT grants that we've applied for. And in an effort to do that, oh, I know what it is. Dementia is kind of way, so. It
okay.
is for the relocation of the Ashland Railroad spur line that runs along the pump house project. In an effort to fund that, we had to appropriate that. Most of this money is coming from grant revenue. So we have to appropriate that amount of money. There will be a small transfer in an effort to meet the city's matching part of that grant, and that will come from the general fund. But at this point, it will only be transferred what is needed to meet the local share. Even though it shows $177,000 possible, that is worst-case scenario based off the grant application. Right now, I believe the local match for the small bill that we will incur is like $1,500 or $1,600. So what we will do is transfer only what is needed to meet the local share from the general fund in an effort to complete that. I'm not sure that all of this will be done because I believe Ashland Railroad is a part of that grant process as well. So this is kind of worst-case scenario. It's $988,000, but at this point, again, most of that comes from the grant, not the city.
I believe it was It was over $800,000, the Ohio Rail Development Commission grant that we received. So it is almost entirely covered by those state funds. And this, of course, relates to the Pump House District.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller,
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Ordinance 49-25.
Next, we have an ordinance approving the Community Reinvestment Area Tax Incentive Application for Eagle Dirt Holdings LLC within the city of Ashland, Ohio.
Move for non-reading in full.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
All right. If you enjoy butter burgers and cheese curds and you like a good milkshake, then this is the item on the agenda for you. In this particular ordinance and in this agreement, you will see nowhere the word mentioned Culvers. However, read on. It says Dirt Dog, well, no, it's not Dirt Dog, Eagle Dirt Holdings is interested in moving forward in the construction of a new restaurant on the corner of US 250 and County Road 1575. That would be near the old Montgomery School property. Actually, it'd be a part of the Montgomery School property, immediately across from what we commonly refer to as Goasis. We have been working with this particular restaurant chain for probably at least 6 months or more, and actually, it's been more than 6 months. 6 months doesn't take you back very far now, because we're 6 months into this year, so I guess it would be more than 12 months. Wow, because last summer we were working with them. We had looked at several different locations, and each of the time, we thought we had it settled where they might go, but it now looks as though they are going to go at the corner of US 250 at County Road 1575, what we refer to in the city as Montgomery Road. Basically, what they're asking, or what they're planning to do, is to construct a 4,335 square foot restaurant. 4,335 square foot restaurant at an approximate cost of $3.7 million. They are expecting, once they are open, to employ 50 part-time positions and 15 full-time positions, and they expect to have an annual payroll of $1.2 million. After working with them extensively on this project, they are requesting a 10-year, 75% reduction on their property tax, Community Reinvestment Area tax incentive. This is not out of line with what we've done with other restaurants. I think the one that we all were a part of most recently would have been BW3's when they constructed their new facility. So this obviously is an entirely new investment in the city. And as you know, one of the most commonly asked questions here in our community is, when are you going to bring new restaurants? Well, this may not be the restaurant for everyone, but it'll be a good addition for some. And so Culver's is interested in locating on that corner, and they have requested this tax incentive to make it happen.
Very good. Any discussion for the mayor? That is a prime piece of real estate right by 71. I'm surprised it's still available, actually, but it's nice to see it being used.
They actually have acquired more land than they actually will be able to use
Okay.
or plan to use. And so they themselves are going to heavily market the rest of the site for other possible restaurant chains or retailers.
Good, good.
So we've waited a long time to see action on that corner, and I think that this might be the case of kind of what we saw downtown. When the brewery first made their investment on Main Street, it kind of proved to everyone else that it was a worthy spot to invest in, downtown Ashland. And I think this will probably have a similar effect now when people start seeing dirt in a new building and a chain like Culver's going up on that corner. Yep. Now, rest assured, anyone watching at home, we are working with a variety of other popular restaurant chains and developers, and you would know the names of them, but it takes a lot of effort to convince folks to be the first one to invest here in Ashland in that area. So we'll see what happens.
That property does fall within our recent annexation in that area, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes. So it'll be in the city limits. And if you recall, which you wouldn't now that I think about it, because I don't think any of us were here, you and I might have been on city council. The city at one point, I don't have any idea how many years, but I bet it's been more than 8 or 10 years ago, extended our community reinvestment area tax incentive zone all the way out the US 250 corridor, just so we would have this particular tool available to help try to attract new restaurants and retailers and entertainment venues out there. So that was, we did that for that sole or primary purpose of trying to attract this type of establishment, so.
In looking back through here, I saw a date of 2018, which would have been.
Was that? Yep, okay,
when-
so it-
When we did that, so, yeah.
Wow, that's been a while ago.
It has.
Yeah.
Well, if there is no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve on the first reading.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Ordinance 50-25.
Next, we have an ordinance authorizing the assignment of a community reinvestment area tax incentive agreement with JLS Enterprise Trust of 2014, as authorized by ordinance number 17-18 to Aris Ashland LLC for the remainder of the term and upon the same terms and conditions of the original community reinvestment area agreement, so authorized by ordinance number 17-18.
Move for non-reading in full. Second.
Thank you.
Woodward. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
All right, so when a particular property is part of a community reinvestment area tax incentive, and that property then sells, it is up to the council to decide whether or not the remaining years of that tax incentive continue to apply to the property. We did something similar to this when we were dealing, I believe, with Primary Colors might have been one that we did this with, and then a restaurant that we actually did this with would have been BW3's. When BW3's sold, we transferred it to the new owner. Well, this particular property that this is in reference to is the little shopping strip where Chipotle is located. And that property has sold recently, and the new buyer of the property is requesting to be able to take advantage of the remaining 2 years of the existing tax incentive on that property. And let me take a look here real quick. I had it off the top of my head. I believe it's
December
50%
27.
for 10 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The original agreement was 50% for 10 years, and there's 2 remaining years left. It expires in December of 2027. So we're requesting that the council authorize the transfer of the remaining 2 years to the new property owner.
Mr. Mayor, I think there may be a typo because in the original agreement with JLS, it says that it expires in 2028. This new agreement with Aris says it expires in 2027.
Let me see what you're referencing.
Page 4 of the former agreement and page 3 of the new agreement.
Former agreement.
The one with JLS.
Well, there's a page numbered, number 4, is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to?
Yep.
Yeah, it says January 1, 2018, not to extend beyond December 31st, 2028.
Must be another page 4. This one doesn't say.
Well, there's another, the original, this new agreement's
Oh,
on
I see.
page 3. Right. Yeah. It's in bold, which would be right for 10 years, right?
Norix?
18.
Yep. On page 4 of what I think you might be referring to, does it not say that's a no exemption sal be extended beyond December 31st, 2028. I think that all has to do with when it starts. Are we looking at the
So
same
didn't it start in
page?
2018 for 10 years?
Yes.
The new agreement would be correct for 10 years. The other one would have been 11 by date, but it clearly calls out 10 years, but
Now, I specifically
On the old
talked to
agreement, it's on
economic
the-
development about that, and they did
Yeah.
say it was 27. They said it's December of 2027, but
On the old agreement, it's on the first page, and again on the,
Second paragraph, last line of the first page of the old agreement.
yeah, I don't know what you're referring to now.
the one,
Versus new.
when we
So-
gave it to JLS in 2018, we have a copy of that original.
we have a
agreement.
copy of that in our
Yes.
packet.
And
And
that
if you go
goes-
to page 4 of that agreement, I believe that's a typo, because if you list the years, 18, it only 10 years would be 27, not 28. So the new agreement would be
So it would
correct.
be correct then, because it is 2 years. So maybe that was a typo made back in 2018.
Yeah, that's what,
I'm glad you caught it.
But we are,
Do you agree?
we are making it 27 now.
Yes, I mean,
On the new
I
one, yes.
specifically have asked that question, when it would expire, because I knew our friends in the media would want to know that, and I was told December of 27.
Okay.
So I'm glad you caught it,
Good catch,
I think.
Okay.
But
we're
it
on-
makes
we're
sense
on
what
track
you're
now.
saying. It does
Yeah.
make sense what Councilmember Kayo is saying, that if you do,
if you do the
first year
math.
was January of 18, and then it does finish in, so it makes sense.
All right.
Very good.
So with that, where were we? Our first reading. So any questions other than the typo, Dan?
Yeah.
You're right.
You're right.
I think so.
If council has no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve on the first reading.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
I'll move again to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motion to approve the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Ordinance 51-25.
And then we have ordinance E, which I will read in full. This will be an ordinance authorizing certain land belonging to the city of Ashland, Ohio, to be sold through the Community Improvement Corporation and declaring an emergency. And we thought about going back to our grade school days and maybe doing a paragraph each.
Probably should have done round robin.
But decided against that, so I'll begin. This is, whereas the city of Ashland is the owner of certain land being approximately 18 acres of vacant land located in the Ashland Business Park, located at the northeast corner of Ford Drive and Wells Road, and whereas it is the determination of this council that said property is not essential for municipal use of said city of Ashland, but is suitable for uses that will promote the welfare of the people of the city of Ashland, stabilize the economy, provide employment, and assist in the development of industrial, commercial, distribution, and research activities for the benefit of the people of the city of Ashland, and will provide additional opportunities for gainful employment. And whereas this council has previously enacted Ordinance 67-99, authorizing sale by the Community Improvement Corporation of such lands determined not essential for municipal use. And whereas this council desires that the mayor negotiate for the sale of and undertake to sell, that the land being approximately 18 acres of vacant land located at the northeast corner of Ford Drive and Wells Road, be it ordained by the council of the city of Ashland, Ohio, its members thereto concurring. Section 1, that the mayor by and through the Community Improvement Corporation as agent, B, and is hereby authorized and directed pursuant to ordinance 67-99 to bargain for, contract, sell, and transfer the subject land pursuant to the purchase agreement attached as Exhibit A hereto, which property this council determines to be not essential for municipal use, but more appropriate for uses as set forth above. Section 2, that in order to enable the implementation of the authorization set forth in Section 1 above, this ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure immediately necessary for the preservation of the public peace, property, health, safety, and welfare. In Section 3, that the ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage by the council and approved pursuant to Section 12 of the Charter of the City of Ashland, Ohio. So ends the reading. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it over to you for...
Okay, this particular 18 acres, as described, is located in the Ashland Industrial Park. It's located at the corner of Ford Drive and Wells Road. And for those that are familiar with the layout in the industrial park, this would be immediately across the street from S.J. Rhombus and right next to Amazon. In fact, this particular parcel butts up to the Amazon property. This is a great spot out there in the industrial park, and we have shown it to a number of prospects. But tonight, I am recommending to the city council to move forward with the sale of this 18 acres to Ashland's very own Crown Jewels. Crown Jewels is currently operating out of the building formerly known as the Times Gazette. They also have a variety of other facilities, some here, some in other places across the country, and they believe it is time to locate and grow their business in our industrial park. This 18 acres is being requested because they would likely begin with a building that could be in the neighborhood of 100,000 square feet, and then grow in the future as they get more contracts. They are experiencing tremendous success, and it's a very exciting story for sure. A lot of their customers are highly recognized companies that are known around the world. So at this point, that's the information that's probably what I should share right now. There was more details, but a lot of them they're keeping close to the vest. They've shared them with us, but we have every reason to believe that this is a great use of that land.
Definitely. For sure. Comments, questions? I'd just like to acknowledge that this is a local company, local people. Most of us know them, and we are honored and thankful that they've chosen Ashland
Absolutely.
to expand and grow, truly. So,
As you take a look at some of these locally owned companies, we may not realize it when we live and do business here in Ashland, but they have other operations in other places. And what I see happening more and more is some of our businesses are starting to look at the growth that's happening here and look at the prospect of adding more citizens in these housing developments and so on, and they're starting to think this might be a great place to headquarter everything. So I believe that is a factor in this project.
great. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. Motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Ordinance 52-25.
Thank you.
Yes.
More growth for the city of Ashland. It's an exciting time for our city, and I guess I just want to make clear, we never, ever want to take for granted the prosperity and the growth of our city, and are truly thankful that this company has chosen to stay here. So, moving to resolutions, then, we have a resolution of the City Council of the City of Ashland approving and adopting the FTA/FMCSA, that's a tongue twister, drug and alcohol testing policy for the City of Ashland, Ohio, for all FTA and CSA employees and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full.
Second.
Thank you.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
In a recent council meeting, we had to pass another policy that was a federal policy that was mandated in order for us to receive federal funds for our public transit program. This follows in that vein, and it is just as you described. It's basically adopting and saying that we will implement the federal drug testing and alcohol and drug testing policies in our public transit system. So if you want to go through the details, I think
Are we
it's, what
currently
was it?
doing- Are we currently?
We
drug-
currently test our employees, yes,
Okay.
but we've got to pass all these
Sure.
policies as we get ready to receive our grant for our new building.
If we're aligning our policy with
Yes,
theirs.
yeah.
Wonderful.
All right.
All of it.
If there's no further discussion, is there a motion to approve on the first reading?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye. Again, I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Resolution 6-25.
Then we have a resolution authorizing the filing of application, program year 2025, State of Ohio Community Development Block Grant Direct Allocation Program, and declaring an emergency.
Move for non-reading in full.
Second.
Thank you.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
This resolution would authorize the city engineer's office to officially apply for the community development block grant funds. As you know, most of the time when we submit grants, the council has to approve them, and so that's what this is doing. We're asking you to authorize the application for CDBG funds.
If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Again, I'll move to suspend the rules for 3 separate readings, 3 separate days.
Second.
Thank you.
Woodward.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
Resolution 7-25.
All right, we have no public hearing items this evening, no old business. We do have some new business. We have an advertising permit for Sheriff Goslin. Paul Lannon is not here this evening. Is anyone else here to represent Sheriff Goslin?
No, but Paul Lannon did come into the mayor's office to get his permit and pay for his permit, and I did get to talk to him directly about the requirements. He was very familiar with them because they've actually done it in the past, but we talked about them once again.
They do this every year.
Yes.
So we need a motion to approve the advertising permit. Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Lawson.
Aye.
Workman.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Woodward.
Aye.
All right. Moving then right to Finance Director's report.
Well, the good news is that we have filed the 2024 audit with the State Auditor's Office. The financials are now in review in their department. We have now turned our attention to the remainder of the CAFR report that has to be completed for our investors, our bond, people that hold our bonds and things. That also gets reported to another agency called EMA, which then reviews that and publishes that for our investors to look at and monitor. That should be completed between now and the end of the month, if everything goes well. It's a requirement to be filed by the end of the month. And that's kind of what we've been working on. We've had auditors or accountants in our office this week to complete that task so that we can stay on track and on time. We have been working on the 2025 '26 tax budget. And I really hope to have that out to you in short order once we complete some of this other stuff that we have to catch up on. So it's kind of where we're at. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Seems like you're a bit ahead of schedule, Larry, but it is June.
It is true.
already, So, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any questions, concerns? All right. Thank you, Larry. Moving then right to council comments. Mr. Lawson, would you like to?
I had some residents bring to my attention some work that still hasn't been done yet as a result of the company that working for Frontier bearing fiber optics damaged the water line, and it caused street and curbing and sidewalk work that it's been, I think, well over a year and still hasn't been repaired or adequately replaced. The city engineer did give me a good explanation for that, so I'll withhold any other additional comments just to let people know that I did bring it to their attention, and we are still working on that.
Very good. Ms. Woodward?
I want to follow up with that just a little bit. We had our gas lines done all down Cleveland Avenue. Who's responsible to come and tidy up the tree lawn? Because they're like this, but now they put grass seed down. It can't stay like that.
Well, we just have to reach out to the contractor if there's an issue. Yes.
Because if you go down Cleveland Avenue, you see every person's house in front. I mean, it goes like this, and then it's down, and it's bumpy, and they just threw grass seed over the top. So,
Well, we would contact the contractor.
okay, wonderful. And then my second question is, there's been a few complaints about loud machinery at 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't think we have anything on the books
I
for
believe
when
you're
they
not
can.
supposed to start before 7 a.m.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Who would I contact to make sure if they are starting early?
Well, you would need to contact the police department.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
if they're starting.
So I
early, yep.
just tell the citizens to contact the police
Absolutely.
department. Wonderful.
Non-emergency.
Now, what kind of?
On the non-emergency.
What kind of,
The
equipment is it? Is it-
excavation
okay.
equipment,
All right.
some paving and
Oh, okay.
some other, so.
Oh, now that wouldn't be, would it be a paving company at their site? Because that is their location. It's one thing if they're pulling into your neighbor's drive and starting the work. It's another
Okay.
thing if it's a company.
On
And
their
that's
own
what-
property?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can still start
I
there?
have a feeling they can. We'd have to double check that, but
Okay,
I can't imagine they could be prevented from it. This is more if I want to start using the jackhammer to take my
Sure.
sidewalk out in front of my house.
sure.
Yes.
Well, then we'll have to discuss the
Yes, we will.
particulars because I want to make sure that I guide them the right
Absolutely.
way,
Yes,
so,
because it's just dawning on me
Sure.
what's in your ward, so, yep.
okay. We'll talk
All
about
right,
it.
thank you.
All right,
All right. Mr. Miller?
thank you.
Nothing
No,
at
thank
this
you.
time.
Mr. Kyle?
I just want to echo what President Workman was talking about when, this city is expanding and there's some really top-notch companies moving here, plus we're retaining our local people that are growing, and I think that's amazing. And with that comes all the struggles of becoming bigger, right? The
Yes.
growing pains and those kind of things, but our city services are first class. I feel that way, and I think a lot of other people do. So just kudos to your office and all the departments in this city. And the plan is working, right?
Yes.
So,
It is, and I think that what you said about the local entrepreneurs investing further in our community, that is outstanding. And the reason I think that is outstanding is because, and this may be the wrong mindset, but I'd almost rather grow a company 25 or 50 jobs at a time over a period of a couple of years than get a brand-new company with 500 new jobs at one time. Because then we're all growing together.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong, if someone wants to come here and wants to come build a company with 500 employees, we'll talk to you. In fact, we'll work with you to make it happen. But I will tell you, I think it builds a firmer foundation as we go forward if we're growing all of these locally owned companies, because they live here. Their kids are here, their grandkids are here, they have their homes here, they grew up here, and that means most likely they will stay here.
Right.
So appreciate the comments.
Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so I'm going to start with the lighthearted one, if there is such a thing. Our summer pavement program will begin likely in July. I'd remind everyone that Sarver has the contract again this year, and we're looking at resurfacing portions of at least 72 different streets. That's always subject to change because we don't know what underground utility work may end up happening at the last minute or breaking, but that's our plan, is for that work to start in July, and we want to thank the finance director and his staff for helping us get the budget passed so early so that we could go out to bid early in the year, and that work it'll be starting in the summer and not the fall like it has the last couple of years. Also, I want to let people know that the Main Street Culvert Replacement Project, that's located across from Dairy Queen, that work obviously is well underway, but on June 10th, Main Street will be closed. Adina's bringing in some additional equipment, so June 10th, Main Street will be closed, and there will be a simple detour then for traffic that wants to get past that particular location.
Just one day.
One day, right now, that's the plan. One day, June 10th. Now, this particular item we have talked about at length probably for the last 2 years, and that is the need to increase our residential trash pickup rate, our sanitation fee. Currently, our residents pay $17.75 per month to have their trash and recycling picked up. If you were to compare that with other entities, certainly private entities, which I don't know if I know of any other public entities that pick up trash and recycling, but if you were to compare it to the private entities, that is well below what others are charging. Over the last 2 years, we have continually talked about this particular fee at these meetings because Rumpke has been steadily increasing our rate that they charge the city to dispose of all of the trash and garbage that's picked up on the curb. In fact, the best we can estimate, over the last 8 years, it looks as though that has probably increased, the Rumpke fee has probably increased nearly 24%. And during that time, we've only increased our city rate probably about 13% over that period. Actually, we've only done it once, I think, since I've been here, and that's unsustainable. Now we're getting to the point where we're going to be upside down in no time. And so tonight, I just want to make everyone aware of the fact that we are planning to increase the monthly trash pickup fee from $17.75 to $20.75 beginning in July. So that is a $3 increase. To be quite honest with you, that doesn't cover all of the increase that we've experienced, because you have to think about it. Rumpke's fee has increased, but so too has maintenance cost, so too has equipment costs, so too has our labor costs. All of our expenses that are part of the budget of sanitation, all of those have steadily increased over this last 8 years. And so I just want everyone to know that beginning in July, you will see a bump on what you would refer to as your water bill, and that is due to this increase in our trash pickup rate.
And as always, there are financial assistance for seniors. So anybody,
Yes.
just contact the city office and they can arrange that for you.
And I'll tell you, the media probably knows better than anyone because they've had a front row seat to this as it's unfolded over the last several years. But repeatedly, quite honestly, we put it off simply because we did not want to increase everyone's trash pickup fee. And that is about as clear as I can be. We did not want to raise the fee. All the numbers justified raising it, but we wanted to put it off because of all of the inflation that everyone was experiencing and noticing that all of their other utilities, gas, electric, telephone, internet, all of that have steadily been increasing. But at this point, we have to make an adjustment. And again, this $3 adjustment by no means makes up for the increases that we've experienced, but it's moving us the right direction. When we get to 2026, in all likelihood, there will also be an adjustment even further, but we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. And those are all the items. Oh, no, there's one more. There's one more, and that is the city of Ashland will once again host our breakfast pizza with Dad on Father's Eve. That takes place on Saturday, June 15th. Saturday, June 15th at Foundation Plaza. It will actually be, is it the 14th? I guess Father's Day is the 15th, right? So it's Father's Day Eve is the 14th. So I apologize. It's Saturday before Father's Day. June 14th, it'll be at the Foundation Plaza. All the breakfast pizza is provided by our friends at Ohio Fire Pizza, and the breakfast will take place from 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. So folks that have attended in the past, I think have really enjoyed themselves. We invite all dads or granddads or young dads, whatever kind of dad you might be, to come out with your children and hopefully enjoy a beautiful meal. We have, in addition to pizza, I think they have donut holes and orange juice and coffee and other things. I will say that if you decide to stick around after 10 a.m., at 11, the Elks will host their annual Flag Day at Foundation Plaza. That's when they come out and tell the history of the United States flag. Usually they have a speaker, and then that usually lasts no longer than 30 minutes. So folks that come out for breakfast can stick around and learn a little bit more about American history.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mayor. This time, we'll move to comments and questions from our audience. If anyone is here who would like to address council, please step up to the podium, state your name, what ward you're in, and you may address council with your concerns. Good evening.
And I'm here this evening, actually, it seems to be the perfect timing. Because as we talk about the expansion of Ashland, there are a few things that I feel like are really important to address in terms of what we're seeing currently. So, and with that, I do have a brief overview for you guys. I didn't print enough for everyone, but just something that if you're interested, you can look over. So, give me just 1 second.
Take your time.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, one of the things that I wanted to address first and foremost, and hopefully to ask as we're talking about these expansions, is that we do not allow businesses to come in for licensure in terms of medical and recreational marijuana use. And there's a reason that I say that. So if you look right here, the National Poison Control data is showing that just in the last 30 days, we've had 201,545 accidental overdoses for children in consumption of THC gummies. So when you consider that, and that's up from 2023, it was less than 7,000. And again, I do have those statistics for you if you're interested, or the websites where you can obtain that information.
And our law director can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe there's an ordinance in place for the entire county.
No,
No?
no, for the city of Ashland. Yeah.
Correct. So, and that's what I'm hoping, that not just for the city, but that we can extend that to the county as well, to mitigate and prevent further, that we can mitigate and prevent further problems in terms of this. So not only have we seen the increase of overdose rates, but with that, we're also seeing an increase of accidents. We're seeing an increase of crime rates. And a lot of people, I don't want this to turn into like the discussion or the argument of, oh, but that's not THC related. The reason that you have to excuse me for just a second.
That's okay.
The reason that it's such a huge influx and that it has become such a health risk is because of the high THC concentrates. And so we're talking everything from your standard lethargic behaviors that just need observation in a medical setting to all the way up into death and intubation because it's depressing the respiratory systems and things like that. So it's a pretty wide-scale problem, but we're seeing that trickle-down effect here. And as a result, our law enforcement and our first responders are seeing that as well. And so when, and one of the things that I want to say is that I don't feel that they are recognized enough for the hard work that they do, and they are already stretched thin, you know, and our call volumes, and again, I have those numbers as well, but just in 2 days from, 2 to 3 days from May 30th to June 2nd, our police fielded 190 calls, and the sheriff's department fielded 236. And so as we're expanding as a city and as a county, we also have an increased need for more law enforcement and first responders. And I think that that's one of the things that are really important to address, especially as you talk about the buildup over on 250 where Fin, Feather, and Fur in that area is, because it changes jurisdiction. And so not only does it change jurisdiction, but it changes the response time. So what would be PD's jurisdiction, for example, at Grandpa's Cheese Barn, turns to the sheriff's department's jurisdiction at Fin, Feather, and Fur. And depending on the day, you might only have 4 deputies on call. And if they're fielding other calls, you can have an extremely important call come in, and that time lapse can be the difference between life, death, or other things. And I feel like those are all really important issues that we need to address, especially as a city and a county that we expand. And also to mitigate some of the strain that's already on our officers, because most of them work 12-hour days. And so that in itself, you know, speaks volumes. As well as, so again, I refer to this when I'm talking about the overdose rates. If you are interested in looking at that, you can go to the National Poison Control Center online, or poisoncenters.org. And I do have the phone number as well if you need it for the National Poison Control Hotline. But they would be willing to kind of expand on that, but that information is readily available if you search it out. So past that, I do also want to talk about some of the products that are available on the store shelves currently. And while we do not have the licensure to purchase these products, it is, I don't know if I should say this on a live. There is an issue with some of these products being available currently, and not just THC products or edibles, but also hallucinogenics and items that are not scheduled as narcotics or as drugs, such as kratom. And one of the issues with that, so I am asking you to help us to get kratom scheduled. And I'm going to give you a little explanation as to why you might be interested in this.
And what do you mean by scheduled?
So when a narcotic or a substance is a scheduled product, then that means that it has tighter regulations. And for example, when we're looking at something like kratom, we've been fighting, and I say we because it's been a collective issue for years, to get this substance marked as a drug. And the necessity for that is because it acts as an opioid. And so when I say that, you can have the depressant effects of it that you might see, for example, with like a heroin overdose. Or it can also give the stimulant effects that you might see in, say, the use of cocaine. And that's not limited to some of the hallucinatory, ill responses that are also a side effect of using drugs. And so when I say it acts as an opioid, it actually affects the opioid receptors, and that's the body's response that it has to it. Widely, we are seeing a lot of overdoses, people and death, and frequently the death is because people are unaware of the usage or the dangerous side effects of it. It is required, not required, it's necessary that if there is an overdose, it has to be reversed with Narcan or naloxone. And so that's one of the reasons that these products need to be scheduled. And to kind of expand on how big of an issue it is, you can literally walk into just about any establishment and purchase them over the counter. and they're acting, and when I say acting, I mean when they're consumed, it is almost as if you are consuming a narcotic product, such as like oxy or something along those lines. And if you are interested, I could show you a little more information about that, or at least lead you in the direction that you can look it up and understand the problems that we are facing. So, and furthermore with that, the increase of the overdoses and exposure is what I want to go with, leads me to the next part that I feel like, and not just feel, but that our law enforcement officers need NICS kits. And so with what that is, essentially it is a SNAP kit used to test for specific substances, whether it be methamphetamine or something along those lines, or fentanyl. It'll give you a positive result if it is present. And the importance of that is because not only are we still continuing to see the increase of these overdoses, but our law enforcement and our first responders are and have been subject to accidental exposure. And it's important to be able to identify, diagnose, and treat rapidly to prevent accidental death, which is obviously, and we also want to be able to treat the patients that we're getting the calls for immediately and in a timely manner. And sometimes it is an unknown substance, such as kratom. If we're unfamiliar or don't know what that product is, it's hard to test, or hard to treat, excuse me. So, and the next line that I would like to discuss in terms of the safety for our officers, and some of the wide-scale issues that we are seeing nationally, as well as a trickle-down effect to here locally. And again, it comes to...
And what is your background that you keep referring so are you part of an organization or something, or what
would
is your
say yes,
background
and
that
then
you're
I just...
speaking on behalf of our law enforcement, I guess? So what is your background?
Actually, I have a background in sociology,
Okay.
well-studied, as well as drug addiction counseling and psychology, so on and so forth. So I feel like that answers it.
No, it just seems as though you are very in touch with our local law enforcement. And I know we are as well, and we actually just recently moved forward with the increase of the number of firefighters, paramedics, as well as police officers. We just added them probably within the last 6 months, right? Was it in the last 6 months? So we've added additional personnel there. I do know that the issues that you're speaking to are very dear to the county prosecutor, Chris Tennell, and also to our municipal court judge, because they are seeing these drug issues and issues, quite honestly, issues that are related to the legalization of marijuana, probably even more so than the things you're mentioning. I was thinking recently, did I not hear a statistic that our overdoses are significantly down? Only if you know, only if you know.
I believe that they were at least overdoses that led to death.
Yes.
Yes.
That is the key factor in that, and I actually have some of those statistics as well if you were interested. The overdoses that lead to death, and the reason that those are significantly down is because of our response time and our ability to treat, and the fact that not only are
And I
our
thought it was primarily
medics-
related to Narcan is what I think it was attributed to when I
Yes.
heard the statistic, because I think that they are down dramatically.
We also have an MX980 machine that can test within minutes.
Okay.
See, and that's what I'm talking about, the ability to be able to test and treat is really what leads to the success rate of people not dying from overdose. But it's not necessarily, it's that the death rate is down, not that the overdose rate is down. And I think that that's something that can sometimes be misconstrued or misunderstood, and that's where it's important to separate the difference between those two. So also with that, I do want to touch base on the fact that nationally we are seeing an increase in violence and hatred towards our police and our first responders. And with that, I know just recently, a few days ago, we lost an officer in Morrow County. It's not just affecting areas like Morrow County, but it's in Los Angeles, it's in Louisiana, it's literally across our country that we're seeing this. And that some of these criminals, some of them are actually doing it for content, for live stream. That's something I want to get a little bit more into as the next part. But would hope that for our law enforcement, that they are better equipped with more suitable vests, because what we're seeing is, and you can attest to that, what we're seeing is that they're using armor-piercing rounds, and as a result, we're having more fatalities.
The only reason why I put you on the spot to ask who are you speaking on behalf of is because a lot of what you're addressing, especially as it relates to our police and our fire, they're on top of it. So when you're saying we and we, I don't know that it's, I think to a large extent, a lot of this is being addressed within your unit and the division. So,
I know from my work with the county that the prosecutor has recommended to all the townships that they adopt restrictive measures, that they do not allow for cottage industry or any industry for the distribution of narcotics, including marijuana. Although that does not cover the entire county, as the mayor informed me. There are some areas that are not included in that.
so obviously, you know, this body would only be in charge of setting policy for the city of Ashland. And we've got other villages and we've got other townships, and some of them have not chosen to move forward with the ban on dispensaries that we did, that you passed. The other thing that I would say is I think our biggest concern is probably what is actually being sold in these vape shops. That is where it gets awfully gray and awfully muddy. Because right now, my understanding is, based on conversations with the prosecutor and the judge and law enforcement, there's no tests available, readily available, that you can instantly identify the level of, is it THC, in these items. So we are concerned about that for sure. Now, we don't know how to address that, but
Well, one of the ways, actually, if you're interested, one of the ways that we could address that is through the NIC kits, because it does give us a rapid response. And I say that that's important to note. Now, you might hear or you might read something that gives some perhaps unwanted feedback. I feel like all feedback can be important. But with that, so as you're talking about some of these vape stores, and we're talking about some of the products available. Now, as an example, I've been in contact with someone recently in trying to determine, because some people would say that the test results are, let me choose my words here. The word evaded me. It's not unstable, but it's
NIC kit testing is deemed unreliable.
unreliable.
By
That's
the
the word I was
courts.
looking for.
And I get, I agree with the notion that it could be useful, on the scene, what has this officer been exposed to? But it cannot be used to successfully prosecute somebody for selling or possessing that drug.
Correct.
So that's
So
one of the
we need the
main,
secondary test for that, but.
That's one of the main
For that
limitations.
emergency response, that's where it's essential. But beyond that, one of the reasons that they say that they are unreliable is because you might have a substance such as chocolate or sugar that test positive for these substances. However, I think that this is something that's really important to note and to consider when you're looking at the unreliability of it, because so many products, so many substances are made into chocolate bars, gummies, sugars, those sorts of things. It is very possible that the substance that was used to identify or to test that came up as unreliable could have been contaminated with those products. And until we have a better baseline in determining and doing further testing on the said products that show that they are unreliable, once we have that, we may be able to make more leaps and bounds in terms of using the kits. But in
I'm
the
wondering,
immediate, they
I'm
are
wondering if
successful.
it would be more appropriate if we go ahead and move forward with, if there's anyone else that wants to make comments, because I know we have several people that do. This discussion's probably better suited for us to be in the presence of law enforcement,
Correct.
because this is not really applicable to what the city council's involved with on a regular basis.
Okay, well, there is one last thing I would like to say, if you don't mind. I feel like it's really important for everybody here and for all of our listeners. And while I agree with you in terms of law enforcement, I think that this is extremely important times for protecting our online safety and security. And I say that specifically to the parents for the streamers, the feed, the online feed that I'm talking about, people not only just attacking law enforcement and those sorts of things, as well as I've recently encountered an increase of violent activity online on live streams, as well as nudity. And this is not something that's being sought out, but it's just popping up in the feeds. And so I think that it's really important for parents to be mindful of this, as well as what apps their kids are downloading and what games they're playing and who they are live streaming with. A lot of times it flies under the radar, and while there are a lot of different people that are working tirelessly to get this problem fixed, it's really important for parents to recognize how big and how severe the problem is, especially as we're coming into summer, and to be mindful of who they are gaming with, streaming with, talking to, texting, so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for your time.
No, thank you.
And may I ask,
Thank you.
which ward do you live in?
I live, Third Ward.
Third Ward?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
And just so you know, in regard to those apps, our state representative just introduced a piece of legislation that would require that Amazon, Google, and all of those verify parental consent before they can download a whole variety of apps. And so that is being considered right now, and my understanding is it's got quite a bit of support. So, yes. But we can talk afterwards, too.
Yes.
But
All right. Anyone else? Jerry, you're more than welcome to step up.
Yeah, thanks. I just have a brief, I'm here I'm Jerry Strasbaugh. I live in, what ward do I live in?
One.
I live
Yes.
in Ward 1. So, yes, it's nice to be among friends here, though.
Thank you for being here.
Yes. So I am here representing the Rotary Club of Ashland. And I am here just to remind everyone and remind the watchers, I know there's many people that watch this, I watch it too, that the Rotary Club of Ashland is in partnership with the city and has been for over 40 years to sponsor the 4th of July fireworks. What that means is that the Rotary Club of Ashland raises all the money to put on the fireworks. And at a minimum, it's $22,000 to $25,000. So one of our members likes to joke and say, what do we do really well at the Ashland Rotary Club? We blow up $25,000. But I'm here to say that, just to remind everyone that that's the case. You know, what's unique about our fireworks is they don't come out of the city budget. They're not just a check that Larry writes to a fireworks company to pay for the 4th of July fireworks. We raise the money, and that comes from many local sponsors, and some of the people you've named tonight, I'm going to ask for money, Culver's. But we raise money from local sponsors. We also have a couple members that have started a fund at the Community Foundation to have ongoing resources to fund the fireworks. But another way that we fund the fireworks is a raffle that we have. We sell only 150 tickets. They're $100 a piece. Now, I know that seems like a lot of money, but you could split it up between friends. You know, you could do a few people buy $5 a piece, and you could have $100. And at the end, it's a 50-50 raffle. So if we sell all the tickets, the winning ticket would have $7,500, and then the other $7,500 will go into the fireworks pot. In other words, to pay for the fireworks. So I'm here with tickets. I'm sure that many people sitting around the table who are very invested in this city would want to buy a ticket. We've even had local government winners of the fireworks raffle. So I am here just to remind everybody about that. I have tickets, if anybody would like to buy any. Mr. Miller also is a Rotarian.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Proudly.
So last
Thank
year,
you, Larry.
Jerry Strasbaugh pitched these tickets at a meeting I was at. I purchased the ticket, or at least I was given the ticket that day, and I was the winner.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've already blew the money. It's gone. That's right.
Blew up $7,500.
So this is a legitimate sweepstakes going on right now.
Now, if you know, I know a lot of people around town I went to Circle K to get a cup of coffee and stood behind several people buying lottery tickets. I will tell you, this is a better chance than any lottery ticket you will ever buy. So, online watchers, people in the
And a ticket's $100?
$100.
$100,
So
okay.
get several friends together, buy one, or if you can buy one, I have some with me. But just a reminder that the Rotary Club of Ashland works very closely with the city to put on the fireworks. It's been an honor to do that for over 40 years, and we hope to continue to do that, so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
And it's worth pointing out that planning has, actually, it's been underway, but it's starting to crystallize for the night of the fireworks. The fireworks will be shot off at Freer Field again this year. So we are working with fire and police to streamline the in and out as traffic arrives and leaves throughout the evening. So we'll have more details about that with maps soon.
Great. Well, thank you for being here, Jerry. And for those of you who don't know Jerry, he is the Director of Appleseed Community Mental Health, and we appreciate all the work you do there as well as the Rotary. So, yes, definitely a contributor to our community, so thank you. Anyone else like to address council? Anything at all? Want to point out Carolyn Robinson, correct? Who is with the Ashland Source. And thank you for being here. I understand you live in Worcester, which you're always welcome. So, yes. That's right, yes. So, very good.
No comparison.
Yes. No comparison. No. As a previous Worcesterite, I can say that, so, yeah. So thank you for being here. All right, if there are no additional comments, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Lawson,
Aye.
Workman,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, thank you. Good to